Gonna give it a second. Hey, my loves. Hey, gang. Gonna give everybody a minute to come on in. Hi, gang. Grand Rising. I hope all is well. I figured I'd come on and we do a little chat about the energy and what's going on in the collective. And maybe I'll throw some cards. And we're just going to look at what's going on right now and see what's going on with y'all. How is everybody doing today? Where are we watching from? Where are we watching from? Hey, Joseph. Hey, Stop Looking. Hey, gang. What's good, Leah Lou? Hey, everybody. What's good, Jessica? I hope everybody's doing well. Hey, Author SK. Hey, Miss Love Stars. Hey, Project Execute. Hey, Angela Marie. Hi, everybody. Grand Rising. I hope everybody's doing well. So I really just came on to chat with y'all. I wanted to talk about this energy and how everybody is receiving it. Let me light a candle while we're here talking. Do I have my lighter up here? That's gonna piss me off. Let me see. Oh, right here in my face. Hi, everybody. I just want to talk about the energy. I just put up a short video about it and how right now, even though we are not in a Mercury retrograde, it might feel in UK, hey, we might feel like we are in a fucking Mercury retrograde. Right? And Grand Rising Ruby, I feel like the reason why we feel like we're in, what's good, Rose? The reason why we feel like we're in a retrograde is because of the Gemini energy, right? Gemini is ruled by Mercury, right? And Gemini, if you could think of anything, I'm going to give you guys a great example for Gemini, okay? With the Mercury energy. It's the Mad Hatter. Okay? It's the Mad Hatter. I gotta go get this. I gotta go. Oh, time. I gotta go, right? And then you have Jupiter. Good morning, my loves, who's bringing in all these expansive ideas, big projects, pushing us kind of like to, set it off, I suggest, set it off, I suggest, set it off, right? Real large. And if you're moving too fast, you could feel like you're missing something, or like I said in the video, like lost in translation, okay? Oh, you love when I say Leah Lou? You see what I'm saying? It could feel like you're lost in translation. But give you an example. And I can give you several just over the last couple of days, right? In my neighborhood, right? They have, the regular recycle. They have the regular trash pickup. And then they have, bulk, right? So my neighbor had put out some bulk things. Really wasn't a lot. I've put out way more than her in the past. They didn't pick it up last week. I found that strange, but whatever, right? Then I had something I had to put out in bulk, and I put it out. And she put out something. She was waiting for them to pick it up. So she's like, she texted me yesterday like, hey, did they pick it up? And I'm like, no, but let me try to get a number. I tried to get a number. It was the wrong number, right? I'm going to give you an example. It was the wrong number. But then my man comes home and I ask him and he's like, nah, they really picked that up tomorrow morning. So I'm like, okay. They pick it up tomorrow morning. So I hit her back like, yo, we got it the wrong day, right? Now, mind you, there's already a language barrier because even though I speak Spanish, I don't write it as fluently. We're texting, right? I don't write it as fluently, and she only speaks Spanish. So we're already having this thing, you know, the Google or the Apple keeps wanting to change my words because they don't want to recognize that I'm typing in another language, right? So there's that blockage. We're going back and forth, right? We get the wrong number, right? Today she hits me and she's like, did they took it? Well, that's what I read. Thank you for the gift, my love, right? And then I'm like, oh, great. She's like, no, I'm asking you, did they take it? You see how the messages are going back and forth. So then I go and I look and I'm like, hell no, they ain't take the shit, still outside, right? So she's like, what do we do? So I'm like, you know, understanding that there's a language barrier for her, I go looking for the information. I find the information. I call the place. Nobody answers. I leave a message. I hit her back. I'm like, you know what? I think you should hit it up too. So that way, I have to put a second keyboard in Spanish. Yeah, it was driving me crazy, right? So basically, something that should have been solved easily has been going on for a second and third day of communication. I had this pop up in a different area when it came to some paperwork. So this is going to feel like that. If you're rushing along and you're moving too fast, you could feel like you're missing something or that something is getting lost in the translation. So I wanted to preface that, you know, there could be a level of frustration around communication or around the timing that it's taking to communicate, because it's like your mind is going so fast. You know exactly what it is you're trying to communicate. Does not mean that it's being received in that way. Okay? It's kind of like when we were kids and we were playing telephone. You understand? Thank you for subscribing, my love. Okay? So I'm just trying to explain to you so that you can understand what's happening. It's not that what you're thinking is wrong. Okay? It's more that you have to refine it and slow down a little bit to get it to where it's supposed to go. It's kind of like a satellite. Okay? And making sure that you're within range. It doesn't mean that the message is not there. Okay? So I just want to preface it with that. I also feel like part of this energy, you could be reflecting, people could be reflecting to you what still needs some refinement, right? So I have a client, she's like my manager. I swear to you, because I would be lost without her. I'm not really technical, right? So I'm having a conversation where she's like, you know, she's kind of giving me the business, right? She's like, you have to, you know, you're very charitable. You got to stay more in a business mind. I know you're very spiritual, but you have to remember to stay in the spirit and, you know, in the business mindset. And it's hard for me, you know, because I actually do love what I do. And I actually do love, good morning, Ethereal. And I actually do love helping my clients and doing all that, right? But sometimes because I'm so engrossed in the actual business of that, right, that I forget that, oh shit, you know, some paperwork needs to be done. Or I need to stay on top of these other mundane tasks. Okay, and so for the overall goal that we're getting with the Jupiter in Gemini with Saturn in the 12th house is like, don't get so ahead of yourself that you forget to take care of the regular bullshit. Don't get so caught up in the grand idea that you forget about like the little details. Okay, because Saturn's gonna, cause that to be the hiccup, if that makes sense. Okay, cause you to say, oh, I have to go back, right? Retract my steps and go back to take care of this. Okay, you need to hire a part-time to do your paperwork, right? I was telling her that today, but she won't do it. She won't do it, right? And it's also because it's Trine. She's in another country, so it's very difficult, right? But she keeps me in line, right? Because some of the stuff is it's listen. And I'm all for the forever student. I tell you guys all the time, remain the forever student. I really feel that that's the key to youth. I'm 53 years old, okay? And I love to absorb information like a sponge. I still listen to my hip hop. I'm still very much a kid at heart. Okay, thank you, my love, for the heart me, right? I feel like I feel like what keeps me in track, right? I do give thanks to. I told her today I don't know where I would be without you, girl. Like for real, right? So I get so caught up in the spiritual sometimes that it's difficult for me to stay in the 3D. Okay. And so you might see that in certain areas that there's something that you're trying to create or do or bring to fruition, or because remember, Jupiter was in Taurus. So we kind of already know what it is that we want to bring, that we want to birth. Okay. That was what we learned in the last 12 to 14 months. Now we're trying to communicate that outwardly, right? You follow what I'm saying? Right? So when we're trying to do that, we may be forgetting about the littler details, okay? Okay? It's a Joseph writes, why Maggie block you? Maybe Maggie block you because it has to do with timing. We're talking about one thing and you're talking about another. So she may feel like you're not listening to her. That's probably why she blocked you. Okay? We are thankful for what Copenhagen does behind the scenes. I know we have to give her big ups, okay? Because, the fact is, none of us can do anything all alone. Okay? None of us. Right? So you guys may see me as like a spiritual advisor, and I am. But that doesn't mean, hey, Stephanie, that doesn't mean that I don't need assistance. That I don't need support, right? And support can come in many ways. Okay? I feel like that also could be communicating itself to us in this time period. No, whenever we talk about something, there's a reason why we're talking about it, right? So, you may be recognizing, oh, to get X, Y, and Z off the ground, I'm going to need some support in particular areas. You see what I'm saying? Now, I feel like there's going to be, and we covered this in the Venus and Mars show. If you have not seen our last episode of the Venus and Mars show, you can head over to 720 Astrology's page and find that there. And I'll share it on my YouTube so that way you guys can see the link there. But there's going to be a lot of activity in the house of Gemini very shortly. Okay. And this is going to lead us to feel like the mind is going faster than the world is permitting. Okay? So, slow down, slow down. And I don't know if you necessarily should actually slow down, but it's lists, lists, and lists. And I said that in that show, not really, fully understanding. But look, these are just the notes I took in an hour. Okay? In 1 hour. Tawanda, hey, honey, right? Because the thoughts and the messages are going to be coming in from various places at such a velocity that you don't want them to get lost in translation. This is not just communication with others. This is communication with your own spirit team. If I listen right now, shit is so amped up. Okay? I haven't been able to sleep more than 4 hours at a time. I'm actually waking up in the middle of the night and my mind is on go. And I'm not waking up tired, right? It's like the battery can't shut off, right? These messages could be coming from many different places, okay? I feel like the ability to stay on top of shit is going to come from managing lists, okay? That's how it's been lately. Yes, and it's going to continue like that. Now, mind you, everybody else is experiencing the same energy. So what does this mean? Maybe this is why communication needs to be reiterated. Why? Because you may say something to somebody that's important to you, but remember, they're trying to birth something too. Wherever Jupiter in Taurus was in their chart for the last 12 months, 14 months, they're trying to work on that. Okay, they're getting 1,000 messages just like you. Okay, but they're trying to prioritize what's important to them, and you have a different set of priorities. Rather than getting caught up, I think this is very important. Rather than getting caught up in the irritation of not being understood, don't let me be misunderstood. It's more important to slow down and reiterate so you can avoid what may feel like a Mercury retrograde, but it's not that. It's just that there's so many things occurring at the same time that some things are getting lost in translation. I'm going to keep saying that. Okay? So how do we keep a focus? The lists. I have been, listen, yesterday I went into the shower, and I have said this to you guys before. I get into the shower. It's like my own personal manifestation chamber, right? And spirit starts talking to me and all these messages, right? I got out of the shower. I must have been in the shower for 15, 20 minutes max. I got out of the shower with like 4 business ideas. Now, some of them overlapped, right? So what's going to happen? It's going to become like a big, thank you, Spirit, like a big blob, right? All rolled up or absorbing together. Now, what is that blob? The dark matter, or the messages coming from the dark matter, or the ethers, which is what Jupiter brings, higher learning or higher messages, right? But without delineation, without compartmentalizing, without lists, without, honing in, it just becomes like a big blob of dark matter. Yes. Check downstairs by my bed, and then when I get off, we can, but give all the plants water, all of them. They all need it. Yeah. Thank you. So what is the universe made of? Dark matter, right? What is the divine goddess's superpower, right? That dark matter, right? So it feels like we're, hey, Jennifer LaRoe, it feels like we're overwhelmed with how much ether is available right now. Like, it's pretty fucking easy to tap in. The question is, do you have the capacity to break it down and compartmentalize it so it doesn't just become one big blob and get lost in the sauce? Does that make sense, guys? I want you to think about probably, I don't know, what has been rolling around in your mind since last week. Is it 1,000,001, ideas or revelations, insights, right? They may not even be fucking related. That's the problem, right? It doesn't mean that any of them are not viable, but if we're not focusing that energy, and what is that dark matter, right? I feel like it's force, it's power, but if you don't know how to utilize it and shape it and direct it, there would be a level of frustration connected. Thank you, Spirit. To all of this tapping into the ethers, but not being able to communicate it. Gemini, imagine that. It feels like waves of info, nonverbal info. Yes, because it is coming from the ethers, you're getting all this information, you're transmuting, you're the vessel, right? And then how do you disseminate the messages and use them in an applicable way to your circumstances for your betterment? There's a whole thing of decoding in there. I also want you to think of it as like, when you see like, I'm guilty of this, okay? And my son just came in looking for a cord, right? Tell me that all of y'all, there's not a bag of cords in your house somewhere, from adapters, things, this, that, and that, okay? So there's this bag of fucking cords, right? They're all tangled up. You don't know exactly what devices, right? And to get one cord out of that, let's say you need a cord, you may have to unravel some shit, decipher what needs to be connected. It's like that, okay? It's like you're getting an attachment, but you don't know exactly where you need to uncross some wires first. Okay? Or that's how it's feeling to me. Okay? If you're not feeling that yet, don't worry. It's coming. I tend to feel the energy a couple of weeks ahead. Okay? But I feel like the lists will bring a new. Listen, also keep a notebook by your bed. Why? Because you could be dreaming shit and not even knowing it, okay? Keep a notebook and a pen. So that way, if you wake up, you can jot down what you heard. Because if you go back to sleep, that shit is gone forever. Right? I just heard the Mary J song, "When a good girl's gone, she's gone forever. She's gone forever." You have to live with the fact that you did me wrong forever. You did me wrong forever. Okay? So that could be a specific message for somebody in here. Okay? But that also ties into, I was saying, the dark matter and the Lilith energy and like the transmissions. And okay, another message coming in. Spirit says we've hit the tipping point. I got this actually last night, the beginning of it. We've hit the tipping point. So in other words, and I had said this in a reading a couple years ago, about the 100 monkey theory. And once we get to a certain point in humanity's awakening, that it just becomes fact, like we all know it, like there's a main beehive or the all consciousness, right? And I feel like that has occurred in a sense. Okay, so what has occurred is that collectively, there was a time when the spiritual community was trying to express to the other community that there was unknowns, things that they couldn't see that were very much real, and that a lot of what we have been taught was put there to actually limit and control power, individual power, spiritual power. Okay, so although the collective may not be on the same page as to the root of that spiritual power, right? There is that, it's like the all consciousness has accepted. The beehive has accepted. What's good, Coco? That what we knew was not the truth. That there were limitations put in place to minimize the ability of the average person to use like their own talents and interior abilities. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is that we no longer have to convince people of that. They know that. Where we're at now is that everyone is searching for the divine truth. So what is a divine truth? According to how I use that term, a divine truth has to appear in more than one society, time period, and it has to be like proven, right? So in other words, what do I mean by that? Like when you look at South America and you look at Egypt, and they both have pyramids, right? So there was a reason for that, right? When you look at Hindu scriptures, and you look at Egyptian scriptures, and even some of the Mayan scriptures, right? They're talking about life outside of us, right? That's a divine truth, because there was no phone system for them to call each other up, okay? And also from different time periods to say, you know what we think, So I look for those, for things that are in different times, places, and cultures to be seen like a divine truth. And I feel like right now what's happening is that because of this grand awakening and the acceptance, hey Nene, and the acceptance of the collective, that what we know is but a teaspoonful of the truth, right? That everyone now is searching for like the golden cup of information, or the golden key, or the missing link, right? So there's a dissemination. They're showing me like, because I have a deck, right? So there's a dissemination of scribes or griots or storytellers or people who are being sent out to, and they're channelers. And thank you, Spirit. Some of us have been chosen to disseminate transmissions. They may not be subject matters that we, thank you guys for all the love. They may not be subject matters that we necessarily in our physical realm have studied. And yet information is flowing through these people, right? And it's funny, I was talking to my daughter about some downloads and things that I had gotten. I even was telling her about my prayer that, that Spirit gave me. And she was telling me, she was like, that sounds very much like the information that Bashir, right? And I'm like, I'm familiar with Bashir. I don't watch him like that, but I'm familiar with Bashir, right? I feel like the lighthouses, all of us in different ways, are being used to communicate mindsets. Not so much information as mindsets. Why? I feel like we each hold a piece of the puzzle and that we are being turned on like light switches, right? And that the more we turn on the lights, right? The more we turn on, the more this connective web forms. Okay? And sometimes it's really hard for me to articulate to you guys. I know a lot about astrology, right? Like I do. I've read some books and, I've done a fair amount of research, right? But I promise you guys, when I sit in this chair, it is not that I think about what I'm going to say. I wish you guys could see the behind the scenes. And then you would see that like 7 out of 10 of the times that I sit here, I'm just letting Spirit go. Okay? Sometimes ahead of time, Spirit says we're going to talk about this, right? And I have time, but I promise you the majority of the time, I just sit and I let Spirit go, right? Which is why I watch them back so that I can get the message that you guys are getting. Because if not, I'm not going to remember them. And I feel like this is going to be so many of us because we've hit the tipping point. And the first step was acceptance of the fact that there of the dark matter or the unknown, or that there is that we have been limited purposefully for a sense of control, or for others to harness, right? So now that is no longer in question because the all consciousness or the beehive mind has accepted that. There is going to be, before the end of this year, very big revelations when it comes to power. I feel like this feels like electrical power. this feels like old systems of power breaking down. Okay, what's good, Pata? Right? Old systems of power breaking down. I feel like we're going to see people that I may already be following, right? People that we have been seeing coming to their awakening, and some of them are just going to be like it's just going to expand exponentially, because now that the all collective has reached a tipping point, it's like we're on to the next one. Thank you, my love. On to the next one, on to the next one. These realizations are going to come in faster and faster, because for like since COVID, we were dragging others into the new realm, right? The age of Aquarius, right? We have this Pluto retrograde. When does that run to? I think November, right? So when we come out of this shit, and then we have the Saturn retrograde, the Neptune retrograde, and the Uranus retrograde. They're kind of all overlapping each other. Okay? When we're done with that, by that time, another tipping point milestone will be hit. Now, the thing with that is that because we are all attached to that all consciousness, that is undetermined in which way that will go. And this is why Spirit has been saying to me and many other lighthouses, hold your frequency, because we are the guides. We are the ones that are leading the all consciousness to the next series of awakenings. Right? So it depends on where you put that frequency to. Do you want it to be in the sense of humanity and all consciousness and us as a frequency of the higher self, communal, love-based, alpha, omega, or are we going to allow fear and oppression to once again harness the frequency of humanity and feed off of it? Okay? So this is like a battle that we are presently in. What's good, Shauna? To the end of the year. And you're going to see this in many arenas. You're going to see this in many arenas. From political to entertainment, right? All kinds of arenas. And it's going to be highlighting what the all consciousness really wants to create. So if those of us who are the tuning forks for this journey do not hold the vibration needed to cross over into that new consciousness, there may be a limitation for another 100 years, 1,000 years. So it's so important that the lighthouses, thank you, Spirit. It's so important that the lighthouses stay regulated. Regulator, right? Stay regulated enough. Okay, we're not saints, all right? We're going to have moments of frustration, but we must regulate ourselves for the attunement, because we are carrying the frequency of the divine. And this is how we're manifesting the change in the all consciousness. I'm telling you right now that it's not me, okay? I'm telling you that I didn't wake up thinking about this. When I sit here, this is what happens. You see, I'm not even touching cards. Honestly, I don't need the cards. I love the cards, but I don't need the cards. You got to hold your vibration. Each and every one of us has different bubbles. And we, in those bubbles, have other energetic bodies that we are attached to, and we're disseminating a frequency that holds. And some of us have larger bubbles where we're holding the frequency for more energetic bodies. And it's like a network. Or a web, like the internet, right? But except that this is the original information highway, and that the technological things that we have are secondary to our original powers or capabilities. But because we have been trained, thank you, Spirit, I will. Because we've been trained to limit ourselves and look outside of ourselves for eminent, or your eminence, or the supreme knowledge. We look outside instead of within. It's like that, like we're lost in the unlocking. There are things that are going to occur and there may be some shocking ones. Some will be weather related. Towards the end of the summer into the fall, these things will occur so that humanity has to come together right now, finding other solutions for man-made problems. This will mirror that which is being done to prevent the awakening, because spirit and technology, or the mimicking, because what we have is a mimicking of our technology, of our natural born technology. Them two things can't be separated. So what they're doing, they don't want you to spiritually grow because you would then also technologically grow. And I remember the way. And so they don't want that. And so one can't be separated from the other because they confirm each other. Okay? Good morning, my love. Arizona front and center. Hey, babes. So things are going to start coming full circle in a way. The division between oppressed peoples and the fictitious division of cultures is going to be removed. Okay? So soon, I don't know how to put this, but it feels like the argument of melanated against melanated is going to, it feels like it disseminates into an acknowledgement of the all. Okay, so it feels like there's going to be some part of this Akashic record or memory that we hold within our vessels that has to do with the original AI or the original intelligence, the real original floor plan or mechanisms that we hold, the blueprint to both our spirituality and our technological abilities, is going to tear down the division. And maybe this is because when an activation happens, it's going to cross the different, it's going to cross the different areas. For instance, I'm going to give you a more, I'm sorry, because it's hard sometimes the way spirit speaks, right? So let's just say that they said, well, all the high priestesses are related. Let's just say that. And all the high priestesses are going to be awakened at midnight on such and such date to a new power that's going to be visible. You're going to see their third eye blinking on their forehead. I'm just using that as an example, right? Then it don't matter what you think old boy or old girl is. It don't matter if you think that they're not one of us, right? They're not like us. They're not like us, right? It's going to be in your face. Like, oh shit, look at the eye blinking. Yep, that's one of us. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be so fucking obvious that the argument becomes mute. That argument becomes mute. Okay? Hola, my love. Bruja villain. I'm just saying, there's some things. These were systems, thank you, my love, that were put here, arguments to cause us to argue amongst ourselves. Because when we do that, we are not allowing the all consciousness to activate us. And this is why Spirit's saying that the lighthouses have to stay in frequency, because we're the tuning fork, that which is being used to bring on the next all consciousness awakening, which is supposedly happening before the end of the year. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this isn't just to my melanated people. Remember that a system cages all. Doesn't matter who they're trying to suppress, because in the end, it suppresses all, the all consciousness. So when someone creates a system, I'm going to give you an example in the 3D. You meet a narcissist. You get in a relationship with a narcissist. This person has created a system. This person has created a system. Right? And they go through their, what's good, Vera? And they go, you saw the person talking about repent in the comment. This is exactly what I'm saying, because there's people who want you to look at power outside of yourself, because that is the system that cages. Okay. So when I say you meet a narcissist, this narcissist has all these systems and cages set up so that they can have a reality of their own. And people who come into their sphere are going to be subject to those cages. And they may create those cages because they figure, if I create this cage for this person to see me in a particular way, and then I can use them how I want to use them. In the beginning, that's a cage for you. Right? But what they don't realize is that that also cages them outside. They not like us. They not like us. Right? So the cage is both ways. Do you understand? So what's going to end up happening is that the cage that was set originally has caused like a cage for all. And if the collective gets to the all consciousness that they recognize that this cage was put in place and that it really doesn't exist unless we all agree that it does. Right? Then what happens? Then it no longer, though, that cage no longer exists. That cage is no longer in play. That cage no longer is viable. Do you understand? And that's what's happening. Hello, my love. Hello, Boricua Barbie. So I just wanted to explain that. Okay? I just wanted to explain that. What's good, Brianna? There is a change. We already completed one. That one started with COVID. We completed one. This is the one that we recognize that it was all fictitious and that these boundaries that were placed were not real. Now we must establish as a collective what we agree upon, the new terms and conditions. So for us to do that, those of us that are leading with the frequency of the divine are going to have to hold space in defiance of the cage. You see what I'm saying? I'm actually getting pressure on my third eye right now. I feel like we're still going to need sleep, but not in the way that we needed sleep before. Does that make sense? That's shifting. This may be like, instead of 8, it's 4 and 4. 4 and 4. Okay? Ooh. They're going to try to use media and things like that to like clear, like to shock people back into submission. And you know, I had said this, and I think I said this in one of my Patreon videos. I'm going to say it for you guys so that I want you to ponder a fucking question. How do you know that when you sleep, you're not awake, and that when you're awake, you're not asleep? How do you know which reality is which? You don't. Okay? The new scary movie called Tarot, right? So you understand, how do you know which reality is which? You really kind of don't. You understand? Hold space in defiance. Are you ready? Yes. Right? So I feel like we don't really know if we're doing the work when we're awake or when we're asleep. Either way, because there's so much in us that there's so much in us that is unlocked technology. Spirit is saying unlocked technology, and you are the ultimate technological wonder, the 8th wonder of the world. Spirit just said each and every one of us. And so you're working even when you don't know you're working. So think of it as an upgrade. You've been upgraded. Before, you used to need 8 hours of sleep, right? Maybe now you do 4 hours and then you wake up and then you go back, and we don't even know when the fuck we're awake and when we're asleep. In my prayer, and I'm telling you that I'm going to say something. And I'm still embracing it, guys. So please, I have been communicating with the Divine Mother. Hold on. They always do this thing where you have to like verify your live, and it's having trouble. There it is. I have been communicating with the Divine Mother for about 3 years now. She came to me in 2021 and straight up asked me, so what do I call you? Like she wanted to know what title I wanted to be called as. Okay? But now it feels like a team. Larger. Okay? I have not deciphered if this is like Lemurian or Galactic Federation, or it's something like that though. And we're gonna find out. But listen to what they had me write. And then think about what I'm saying and what they've been channeling through me, right? We bring our energy together to honor the divine frequency of love. We speak the language of healing and peace. And we hold, it could be the Palladians. And we hold space for the stillness needed for our growth, both individually and collectively. We choose wholeness and empathy in face of fear and oppression, both internally and externally, right? We open ourselves to the divine and choose to be divinely guided to our highest selves and our highest timelines. We root ourselves in the frequency of divinity. We birth ourselves anew daily, taking action towards our highest selves. What if every day is a new life? We've been tricked somehow into Groundhog's Day. We've been tricked somehow into Groundhog's Day. And we're getting unlocked from the cage. We choose wholeness and empathy in the face of fear and oppression, and that's going to make the cage fall. Now, once the cage falls, we have to decide what the new reality is. We've been jumping timelines, Angel. Yes, sometimes I feel as though I'm jumping timelines and don't know how. Yes, every day is a new day to do right. Correct. Not only to do right, to birth the reality as a collective. But before we can do that, we have to learn to birth our own individual realities daily. Days don't feel like days anymore. Okay, ethereal? They sure the fuck don't. Days don't feel like days no more. Right? And I just been, listen, I was reading an article. And I had been saying on my Patreon, there's a few of them in here right now, right? Patreon, that there was going to be several kinds of technology that was coming before the end of the year. Now, for those of you that have been watching me for a while, I've been telling y'all I have like a toothache. They told me I have my first cavity, right? I have been trying to remineralize my teeth. I don't want them to pull it if they don't have to, right? Reading an article. September, they're going to have trial. I'm not saying I'm going to use it, but trial drug to regrow teeth. Do you know that the loss of teeth or the deterioration of your teeth is one of the things that ages you and makes you ill the fastest? We're talking about the fact that if they're putting it into human trials, they know how to do it already. They just got to figure out, right? So if there's a way that they can regrow teeth, there's already a way in some herbalism way, right? Because that's what they do. They harness, you know, they harness properties of herbs to create certain things, right? So I'm just trying to tell you, I think that's one of them. If you can regrow teeth, you can probably regrow a lot of things. Okay, let me plug in my phone because it's saying it's dying. I'm just trying to say to y'all, right, that what we think are limits have been set on us. And so that's why we think that we can't heal ourselves. You understand? Of course, it doesn't want to go in. Guys, hold on. I got to take you out of the thing to plug in the charger. Okay. Sorry. Right? So that's a medical one. And if I'm not mistaken, I had said there was going to be a technological one, a medical one, and that the technological one was going to be something that we no longer have to pay for in a regular basis. So for instance, you can self-heal, exactly. For instance, right? Let's say that instead of paying an internet monthly bill for access to Wi-Fi, that you could just buy a device flat out. Maybe it will cost you $1,000 but you pay for it one fucking time and then you're done. It would be like maybe your own personal satellite. Do you understand? I feel like we're going towards that way. I have a lot of pressure on my third eye right now. Write as many of your ideas as you can. First off, it's not just so that you can have the list to go back and look at, but there's something about the eye and the writing in your head that locks something in. Spirit just said that's why they didn't want to teach the kids how to write. You understand? Because there's something about it locking in. And they recognize now that the original intelligence, which is us, they not like us, right? That we have already unlocked some things and we're not going back. They saw what happened in just 4 years. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to dummy down, limit education. Okay, they're going to teach kids how to type, but they're not going to teach them how to write. Okay? A 1,000 strokes lock it into the brain. Okay? So my point is, if they can prevent us from using the original intelligence within us, because we're faster than the computer, we just don't know it. We created the computer. We created it, right? The thing is that it doesn't have the emotional factors that can be used against it to limit and cage it the way we do ourselves. Think about that, right? Spirit just gave me another crazy download. So you know how a computer is off? And then when you turn it back on, and it takes a second and it says it's uploading because it's attached to a mainframe, and that mainframe may have had an upgrade, and since the computer was off, it didn't have its upgrade, right? But as soon as you turned it on, it knows that the beehive or the all consciousness has new information, and it says, uploading, do not turn off computer, right? We've all seen this shit. That's your awake day. That is your awake day, where you are downloading the new information. That is your awake day. Okay? Now, we already established that we don't know whether sleep or what we believe to be awake is really the awake part. Okay? So maybe when we go to sleep, that's us saying, don't turn off the computer. I'm in the middle of a download. Or maybe we're doing that when we're awake. Gang, I don't know. We're getting this download together. I feel like this energy has been communicating with me for a few months. It's more technological based, so I know that it's definitely an advanced energy. It feels ancient too. And anytime I get the pressure right here. Okay? I also have been getting the pressure right here. And I thought about it last night. Like if you were to split the skull open and turned it sideways, the third eye would be back here in the middle. So I think that's why I'm getting pressure there as well. There's something about respiration. About respiration and learning a breathing technique to slow down. It's like not breathing as fast or as often. This may have something to do with our environment. I don't think it's filtration. It feels like a transcending. it's like it's not that we won't need air anymore. Obviously, we're going to need air, right? But we might not need as much as we've been used to, or like as we're getting unlocked. I feel like there's some kind of refinement. I don't know what it means, guys. But this has something to do with our evolution. Just like how we no longer need our appendixes. Right? So it's not that we don't need air, but we may not need it in the same way. This, okay, thank you, Spirit. So it could also have something to do with the, like water, for instance, right? H2O, and they say no, that really what we need is H3O, which is living water. So maybe what Spirit is saying is that has something to do with like living air, or like a different version, or like where it's something's being refined is the best way I could put it. Okay? But I'm gonna leave it there because I feel like I would just open and just stay in the channel mode. And now I got a crazy craving for a ham and cheese sandwich. Hi, Leah. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to I wanted to give you that message. Oh, thank you, Todd. I love you guys too. Okay. During the thing, and I never do this, I think I've done this once before in the last 4 years of me having the channel. But they want me to read something. It's a poem that I wrote years ago. I actually took this book out because I was having a meeting with somebody else, okay? It helped you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I had to have a meeting with somebody about a collaboration, and so I needed to go find my old stand-up poetry book. For those of you that don't know, I've had many lives, right? And I used to do stand-up poetry, right? And I ended up having to take out the book for something, and I started to read something else. And then this was a few days ago, and I just left the book there. And when I started talking to you guys about the removal of the separation, for those of you who came late into the transmission, you can go over to YouTube and you can see the whole transmission there. But I was saying something about the separation of the peoples, and us being able to see which ones is going to be undeniable. Anyway, during that, okay, they showed me one of my poems, and I have to find it, okay? All right, guys. Bear with me because I haven't read this in a very long time publicly. Okay, but I feel like this kind of is speaking of why we're being unlocked, or why things are being removed. The separation is being removed. My ear is ringing. Okay. Silent tears slip from a child's eyes. It will take 1,000 years to hear our cries. The crops no longer need tending. The puppeteers are no longer amused with pulling their strings and chains and whips. The drums no longer beat, and 5 out of 7 days of the week, lost generations of children recite the Pledge of Allegiance at exactly 8:57 a.m. Back strong from whipping, beating their self from memory, lips curled tight. Death is its own silent reprieve from the weight of color. Legions of warriors paint their faces red, white, and blue. Battle cries gone unheard. The drum no longer beats, and the fallen lead the hopeless. Women of royalty remove their crowns and trade them for water jugs, baptizing their daughters in both racial and sexual subservience. Remember the sounds of a people, strong and rich in spirit, wrapped in royal linens of purple and gold. Our ancestors were bought and sold, and now we choose bondage. Remember the beat of the drum, forced to relinquish our native tongue. The chief's feathers are dipped in blood. The sacrifice has already been given. There is only the final battle. The shackles are rusted. The drum beats louder, and a nation within a nation shall be free to sing their hymns of victory. Ashe. So I'm going to leave it there. I feel like the powers that be has lost control in some sense, and they're trying to figure out how to put us back. Okay? And it's up to us to hold the frequency of humanity to make the change for the next awakening. Okay? Oh, thank you very much. Thankful, appreciative. Entire message made sense, and everything is clearer. You're welcome, my love. So I just wanted to give you that. But I feel like oppression in all forms, not just what this poem was speaking about, although that could be the nexus of where it all started, right? It's being torn down, guys. Okay? So remember, hold your frequency, my love. We are the lighthouses. Okay? We are the tuning forks needing for the next thank you, Taylor Clue. Needed for the next leg of the journey. Okay? If you guys have missed any part of this transmission with spirit, you can head over to YouTube. It was very enlightening. I'm wishing you all light and love and blessings on blessings. Bye, gang, gang. Okay, guys. Thanks for spending time with me. Love you all. Bye.